Everyone. I'll read this. The Provo City Design Review Committee will hold a public hearing on Thursday, September 22nd in the community room. The following items will be discussed. Item 1, Craig Peterson requests design review approval for student housing located at 891 North, 900 East in the campus mixed use zone, Joaquin neighborhood. And Javin will kick us off on that in a moment. And item 2 is Joel Peeling request design review approval for 3 new warehouses in the proposed AI Airport Industrial Zone located at 652 South Lakeview Parkway, Provo Bay neighborhood. And Aaron, walk us through that one. Do I need to read all of this or?
No,
Okay,
that's
cool.
perfect. That was perfect.
Do you need to do roll call? Is that made by record?
I never go to design. review.
Okay. Oh, I don't either. Okay, so I don't either. Right, to get you familiar with where this is at 891 North, 900 East. This is adjacent to 9th East, but BOU is directly to the north and to the west of this property. Showing a site plan, how it'll look with it on that location.
So is that 7?
820 North, 9th East, 9th North. So UVX is gonna go to the north side of it to mix that right in or left.
A bunch of townhomes.
Yeah.
Kind of a mixture of townhomes and such there. Closer, this is a closer up of their landscape plan for the site. They kind of turned it so you could see more of it. The following illustrations are elevation drawings I have of this. It's a 159 unit student housing project here.
How many units you said?
159.
I heard 859.
Yeah.
So wanted to make sure.
159 for the record. And then there are some illustrations here. Just looking southwest from that stoplight that's right there, 9th East, 9th North. Looking northward, northwest from 820 North and 9th East. And looking southeast towards the structure from about 860 East and 9th North. As if you're standing on BOU property, maybe. And that's all I prepared. If there are questions on the design, we have the applicant is here, Craig Peterson. So you can ask some questions on it as well.
Do we have a material board?
Oh, yes, we do. And I forgot that.
I don't know.
Okay.
Saw storefront windows. Did they know what kind of, like, will it be shops?
I can't drive this computer from here, but
Oh,
on the,
The opposite side.
yeah, on the right-hand side of the image right here.
and click back.
Oh, really? Oh,
Sorry.
cool.
Yeah,
Is it working?
it's a little
Over
circle
here,
part.
on the
Yeah.
side of the
Yeah,
circle?
there you go.
Oh, there we go.
There you
Oh,
go.
now we'll have some fun. So along the storefront, for the most part, along all 3 sides, we have 3, this east-facing facade right here to the left is on 900 East. And then the 900 North facade to the right. I'll go through this one first. Oh, yeah, thanks. Beautiful. That's true. I'm gonna play myself on it. Oh, there we go. So this right here is the entrance. It's 2-story storefront here in the lobby. And then these are units up here that have kind of a really fun all glass storefront scenario there. But along the street, let's just talk about that for a second first. We've got storefront right here, the garage entrance and exit right here. And then this is stair tower and elevator core. And then right here, this is 2-story glass lobby right on the corner to be really nice and showy. And then we have offices, and this is all storefront here, offices and amenity spaces along the street. And then right in here, this is open to the courtyard in the center. In the center of the building, it's kind of a, it's an open courtyard center. So this actually has access, you can see from the street into that, and it activates, it activates that interior from the street. And then right along here, there is more amenity space, and there's a fitness center that ends up being 2 stories. At this end is the grade drops. So that's all storefront from here all the way around to here. And then there's staircase in here and elevator court and more storefront display right there. None of that is retail per
Okay.
se.
Yeah, so I realized.
Yeah, sorry, that was your
It's all
question.
it's
How
all
long time ago?
associated with the apartments or whatever.
Yes, it's all associated with the apartments.
Descriptive.
And then if we go to the next one here, we were talking about the entrance here. This is the gym right here, the 2-level gym. And then down here, the entrance and exits to the second entrance off the minor road here at 820. You'll notice on the plan that there is a turn lane that doesn't exist right now that we were asked to incorporate based on this 820 becoming some sort of a changed road size going out towards the freeway, as opposed to the 900 North kind of push that's there now. So we lost a section of the end of the building to that, and half the building, we lost another like 8 or 10 feet. I'm not complaining. I'm just explaining. But then down here, we have another amenity space down here that will be active as well. This is storefront down here as well. And then you have the 2 entrances in and out for the garage. So we try to activate this the whole way around with access in and out of the building the whole way too, not just storefront, but we've got entrance exits that are active to the building on a periodic thing that the planning department has asked us to comply with as well. So it's very active all the way around, but retail, not specifically.
Yeah, when I looked at the site plan, everything was just for the tenants of the structure.
Right. You want me to talk a little bit more about design, or do you guys have questions already about what we're doing or why?
I think that they have questions, it's primarily for the committee.
The code requirement is to have occupied space along the street edges, but that occupied space can be amenity space, like he's talked about, rental office. It doesn't have to be actual dwelling units. It can be any of those types of things.
Do you know if historically there was any brickyard type activity at this location?
I seriously doubt it.
Okay.
But it brings up a question as to our design theory, which is that we're a big fan of downtown Provo. And I lived here from 87 to 2009. And we owned a house for a long time on Center Street in Provo. And so we'd walk down to Los Hermanos when it was on the corner of University and Center Street, and all of that feel of that kind of, there's a feeling to me of an era in which that historic brick design was made and built, not brickyard, but just the architecture.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking for something that feels lasting. And if you're familiar with Trolley Square in Salt Lake,
yeah,
it's the feel of a repurposed group of buildings that's been connected with a new intent. And that's the design theory here. That's why you see different, it's an entire block length, right? And rather than do a monolith of just one, singular color scheme and design, what we've intended to do is bring that kind of repurposed feel to multiple buildings that would have been there before,
mm-hmm,
and then connect it through, a new design and a new repurposed industrial feel. So that's where the black comes from, and all the glass.
I guess there's several smokestacks in that area.
There's one, and it's on the far side of it. Yeah. And that gives a feel, and you'll notice that this end right here, this northeast end or northwest end, is a different brick than the area that's here on the south, or that's on the, that's on the south west right here, or that's even on the east side. So there's basically 3 structures here that are connected with glass and steel, is the idea here. So the smokestack is northwest facing, to give that feel of something. It's tapered. It's not easy to do. but it is something that enriches this facade and this angle as you approach the building from campus.
I almost think, I wish the Brickyard Tower chimney was a different material, different color brick, only because you know how it is, it's impossible to match,
Yeah,
right? And so,
Yeah.
and the way that this reads as if the Brickyard chimney was there
right.
and then you tied into it,
Yeah,
but because the materials are exactly the same, it doesn't read as strongly as I think as it
as
would.
built in different periods.
Right.
I'm totally with you on that. And
So-
we thought about that and we've done it in multiple versions. And I'm open to that suggestion because it would bring the feel of the tower all the way to the ground.
Yeah, you lose-
In terms
I mean,
of color and
Visually, you
texture.
lose it a little bit.
You
here,
lose
don't
it when it
Yeah.
blends into the other line of the other part of the building. We felt like it might have been, I say might have been, but you get what I'm saying. That the story is that it would have been there amidst maybe another brick building, but it didn't have to be. It could have been the other way around. And we added brick that was kind of close, but not really a match.
Right.
I'm with you on that. I like that solution or that suggestion because it brings the design down to the ground and breaks up that corner.
And it emphasizes, this elevation isn't as strong
Right.
as the other elevations in terms of that narrative that the buildings developed over time. Even though they didn't,
Right.
right? But they look
Yeah.
like they did.
Yeah.
And so I think that could help.
I think you're right about that.
Should we ask for public comment now, or should we continue discussing?
You could open it up to public comment and get that portion of the.
Okay, is there anyone? Public comment? I don't know if they need to be here in person or online.
There's no one.
Okay,
Doesn't look like we have anybody.
What's the material of the stair tower component?
Concrete.
Concrete,
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
cast in place.
That's the plan,
Okay.
right? It could be something that is in panels, but we haven't gotten that far yet. But the look of it would be concrete with the tie rod. Feel like it was almost raw and new, is that's the thought of it.
Are there any, is anyone open to ideas about sort of murals to tie in the
Yeah,
Center Street feel?
Yeah,
I
very
don't know
open
if it
to
would
it.
look great over in this area of the city, but I don't know, a place for that.
very open to it, certainly on this east facade or the west facade. Where we tried to break up that line. The issue is that it is not the street facade, but you do see it because right now there is the BYU service station that is in this parcel from here over to about maybe right over here.
Yeah.
And then there's a parking lot right over about here, right? It's a BYU controlled pay lot. So on the other side of this, there's single family residential, I think, but that you would think that over time, that's gonna kind of be redeveloped.
That's the plan.
I mean, we hope so too. But that street right here at 820 North gets widened, so the right of way changes and it kind of needs to absorb that. Until something like that goes up a little taller here, we're gonna be fairly exposed right here all the time. So our intent is to landscape this, put some trees that are evergreen here, but very open to whatever might be fun for murals. We have a property in downtown Chicago that's a high rise and it's brick and the first 8 floors has a mural on it. And it's because there's a parking lot right next to it and it's very bland otherwise. So not that this is as bland as what I'm describing at our other property, but it is, I'm open to the concept for sure.
Yeah, more than like a standalone mural, I'm thinking of some of the ghosted old murals.
Oh yeah, we already have that in mind.
Cool.
Kind of like we even have had in mind this idea that one of these sections in terms of interior design cues, one of these sections was like a plumbing supply house. and we'd end up with artifacts of that previous use. And then one would be automotive and artifacts of that, and one might be a manufacturing thing. And inside our lobby, on this wall right here, inside, there's a 2-story wall right there with a staircase that goes up. It's exposed to this vaulted entry. We're looking at putting the exterior ghosting paint right there of the company that this building would have been in next door, that we just enclosed the lobby but didn't paint over the brick. So some of that on the inside, we've already thought of. Something on the outside, open to it, yeah.
So just a few personal reactions. I drive this road all the time because it's close to my neighborhood. I think this looks much nicer than several of the other projects that have gone up there already. So kudos for
Not to
that.
name names.
No, yeah, I'm not saying anyone specific.
You don't
but,
need to.
so I think the smokestack is awesome, like especially as just a nice visual differentiator from the rest of the space. I like the setbacks of the elevation looking from the south. Yeah, this one. There's the box where the first section of brick ends. Like I think that step is really nice.
Right here, this step here.
Mhm.
Yep.
I almost want that, like something similar on the next section, which is that arched brick front.
Right here.
That
There-
step just feels a little anemic, at least in the renderings. That
Yeah,
right
so-
there, yeah.
So this section that's connected with brick here,
Mhm.
you like this section here as it drops all the way down and separates quite fully?
More like if I could extrude
Oh.
that whole facade out another couple feet, maybe.
Oh, I'd love that. But then we're into the setbacks.
Yeah, okay. And maybe like if you push that next neighboring section in.
This
a
section
foot.
back a little bit.
Yeah, and I don't know what that does with the interior plan.
Oh, it hurts.
Probably.
It hurts desperately, but but I like that too. I mean, if we were able to set this back even another 18 inches,
Mhm.
that the shadows and the light play that would happen there would be just that much more dramatic.
Yeah.
We try to do that where we can with these pilasters and the brick to try to get texture
Mhm.
in what is an otherwise flat surface, and the depth of these windows where they're set back in like 16 inches.
Yeah.
So that's point well taken on that though.
And then the only other little like is from the south looking north again. Yeah, this one. That corner, that 1-story black band.
This
Like
one
I,
right here.
yeah, it feels sort of like a little cap, almost like a mansard roof or something that is being confused as to like what it should be.
see what
But
you're saying.
I do like though that the brick is stepping down and the
There's
next
there's a
section.
break here. I mean,
Yeah.
theoretically, we could drop this down one more level here, right? And keep this at 2, and then
Mhm.
drop this down another level here. But then we start running into the need for some help on minor materials, because
Sure.
we're trying to keep to under the 20% of minor materials on these 3 facades. I think on all of them, but particularly on those 3 that planning, we've worked with what those materials are. And so where this is a charcoal colored ephes with a really close matching metal panels that replicate structural steel on the joints and the ribbing and everything, and the cap. I love what you're saying, and I don't mind it, but this has been, I think, our best management of not having this be one level across here for so long,
Mhm.
just to put. And of course, the new build needs to be on top rather than underneath. So the story works, but I hear what you're saying. If we had, you're almost looking at it now thinking, is that sloped at all on the top level? Because if it was mansard, it would be totally a different thing.
Yeah.
I get you. The other thing we could do up here is to cornice this a little bit bigger on this top edge right here.
What if you enlarge the windows? at the top?
Well, we're hitting our the roof line here, and then we have a parapet up above there. So we can only go so high before we're hitting the ceiling inside.
Yeah.
But if we made this corner, the cornice a little bit more pronounced, you wouldn't have any sort of illusions that wasn't projecting as
Intentionally.
opposed to reclining, right?
Would it help if the brick, instead of being 1 story, or extending that brick all the way up to the top, maybe drop it somewhere else to give and take, right? So you're using the same amount. Around that.
Yeah, sure.
So basically saying, this could read really as a nice strong corner
All
if,
brick.
if the brick went all the
Came
way
up
up
to
to
the
the
top?
top with that cornice up at the top. And then
drop it
again,
down somewhere else.
maybe it drops here or here, one of the two. So again, you're meeting your percentages.
Yeah.
And you're not, I don't want to make you spend $25,000 more in brick just
Right.
because. So if you can balance that out. So.
That's a great suggestion.
Yeah,
I actually quite like that.
It
gives
almost
would give
helps it
strength to it.
become another structure.
Yeah.
Like, if that corner element was
Yeah.
there and has always been there. So.
Right. To that, if we're gonna have more fun here, if we did that right there and this to right here, or even to right here, I'm not sure which, that might be a little bit too monolithic, but we can try it out.
Yeah.
If this was all brick right here, and or possibly this too, to the roof, and this piece right here, and this piece that's right here that's really adjacent to it was just a little off, but in the same family of colors, like we matched this
Yeah,
original structure to this one and with that one, but it was imperfect.
Mhm.
With the breaks that are there between this row of units right here, that's actually a living room, I think. And then this
Another
a
stair.
right? So with those breaks where they're not actually touching, you could come off just a little bit, but in the same warm family, as if, and maybe this is even rake faced or something like that, that gives the texture of something from, say, the 20s. And this was not, it was in the family of color, but
Different surface finish. Yeah.
of course you can go down this rabbit hole and have as
Yeah.
much fun as you can
Yeah.
imagine, but I like the suggestions, yeah.
Any other thoughts? Okay, so at this point, we can make recommendations. We can make required suggestions. We can say thumbs up, we're good with what we talked about. Typically, we do make a recommendation, at least in a couple of years
So
I've been
are we
participating.
we're recommending body to whom? The planning commission.
Planning commission.
Okay.
I like mounts cornice.
Mhm.
So do we want to do that as a single motion and then have discussion? Is that kind of the normal process?
Yeah, we can talk about if we want to go down the recommendation route, what do we want to include in that recommendation? It will be written into the minutes and the planning commission will see whatever we recommend as well. But if we don't use the required change term, then it's up to the discretion of.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything I would necessarily require, but I like the conversation that we've had of creating a corner element here. I do like your suggestion of if we could get some depth in that northern brick area. And then I think the last thing we talked about was the chimney, kind of offsetting the color there.
Mhm.
I mean, I think you could use the same brick that's shown here on that opposite corner and it would accomplish exactly what, you're not in. I would be hesitant to recommend a fourth brick color. I think.
Yeah,
you've got
as long as
so
they
much going
complement
on.
each other.
Yeah.
As long as they look beautifully next to each other, sure.
So
And we talked about a mural as well.
mural, yeah,
Yeah, do you want to
consider that.
recommend?
Have you been down to the Wavetronics building in Springville?
No,
This reminds me very much of that, and they have a mural on the east side. And that's really well done.
okay.
So, and they have a mural inside of the lobby area. It's really beautiful. It's kind of a takeoff on was World War II, the woman that was
Rosie the
strong.
Riveter?
Yeah, Rosie the
Oh,
Riveter,
yeah,
that kind
we
of
can
a-
do it.
Yeah, that kind of notion.
Yeah, it's period
Mhm.
style. Yeah,
Yeah, I think you'd really see a lot of connections.
I'll go down today.
Okay, so to summarize, we're making a recommendation to consider pulling the brick up to the top on, this is what, the southeast corner?
Yeah.
Okay, and then making an adjustment so the secondary material can have more somewhere else.
Yeah.
Adding some more depth on the north side of the arched facade. Varying the brick on the chimney from the neighboring brick, and then considering adding a mural somewhere in the project. And I think the mural, like that would be, we only kind of have purview over the exterior of
Yeah.
the building, right? Not the interior, so I'd consider an exterior mural. Okay. Any final, okay,
Can I mention one thing, if
Mhm.
you don't mind, real quick? We've been reading the code or the ordinance that describes major and minor materials. And for us to put this much brick on the building is obviously an expense, but it's an expense that we feel drives the project forward aesthetically. And to be honest, we're hoping to set a tone for future development in the area, and kind of, not to name names, but to raise the standard of what's expected and possible. And the challenge that we have is that it's so expensive that to do full brick from the ground all the way to the 7th story means that our structural requirements on the building are enormous. What we prefer to do is go full brick for the first 2 or 3 floors, and then go with matching thin brick and corners the rest of the way up, the exact same brick from the same manufacturer. No distinction in elevation or projection. But I never saw in the ordinance a distinction between 3-inch plus economy brick that was kind of frowned on as a major material. And anyway, we have to design the building once we get through planning commission, and we have to run with structurals and all that stuff. I don't want to go down a path in which we're, having to redo structurals because we thought this was going to be fine and it wasn't. So I'm bringing it up here because I don't know where else to bring it up exactly. Does that make sense what I'm asking?
I
It's a
Would
good
defer
suggestion.
to-
Let's take a look at that.
Okay. We'll wait on that then for whatever discussions you have.
Well, I think we'd have to amend code. Because it's thin brick permitted in the code.
As a minor.
But you would then need
I
the
think
minor
we-
material percentage increased.
I think for that specific thing.
In order to do that, it would take a code amendment. I guess that would just depend on how long it's going to take you to prepare construction drawings and get that to the process as to whether or not the amendment would be done in time. But
Is it a general amendment or specific to our project,
specific to the zone.
to the zone?
The zone.
That's
So
sort of-
It would apply to anybody.
So there's a time that would take, plus the odds of it working out to be considered, right?
Yeah.
Because somebody may oppose that amendment if they don't trust that us or future developers would not put thin brick without corners right on front facade and leave us.
Right.
I mean, I can imagine, because I've developed and designed and built, why that could be a code. So I understand it. And I can say that we're not those people, but that doesn't necessarily help in the moment. So,
But the whole reason why we have those architecture guidelines was we were trying to raise the exact bar you were just referring to.
right. And we're looking to raise it more than what's, explicitly written in the code.
Yeah, I think you've demonstrated that.
But some relief on that would help, but I understand its process, and maybe I can talk to Javin and we can figure out what kind of quick discussion might help us determine a time frame and if that's viable for us.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I don't know why it couldn't be allowed in terms of, as long as it maintains the dimensional quality of a full-size brick. I think you can do that detailing wise.
I know you
So-
can, but I'm sure that things have gone south in some previous project to have created code where that's not allowed. I totally understand the way systems work. So,
Yeah, or sometimes don't work.
well, that's what I mean. Yeah.
And that's out of the purview of our recommendation, right? Okay.
Okay.
But thanks for bringing it up. So we have our recommendation. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to recommend approval to the planning commission based on the recommendations that have been outlined.
Second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
We're good, right? Thank you. It's
That's what.
a great project.
Thank you. We're very excited, as
Mhm.
you can imagine.
Yeah,
So,
we've been wondering, when we drive past, we saw the fences, we've been wondering what's going on.
yeah. Okay, thanks again.
Thank you.
See you. Thank you very much. We're excited to see the product. Yeah.
Okay. I can introduce item two. Item two is Joel Billing requests design review approval for 3 new warehouses in a proposed airport industrial zone located at 652 South Lakeview Parkway in the Provo Bay neighborhood. Here's a site here. It's just north of the Kinnison construction yard along the new Lakeview Parkway. If you're familiar with that, it's a little bit further north of the airport, the new terminal on that parkway. If we go here, we have the landscape plan. The airport industrial just requires minimal yards on the streets. So he's provided that with trees and then additional landscaping adjacent to the corners of the buildings and through the parking lot. Elevations, a mix of CMU and brick as prescribed through the airport industrial or the airport design guidelines. So you can see the perspective and the west and north elevations here. And then we've got kind of the back building, east elevation and south elevation. And that's what we have on this project. Joel's here. If you have questions, but that's all I have.
What are the colored pictures I sent?
Hmm?
The colored pictures. I have a building like this in Linden. Well, I have 4 of them in Linden. I sent colored pictures to the neighborhood chair.
Oh,
And
those
when I
didn't get to
submitted
me.
for the rezone,
Those didn't get to me. That's all I have.
these don't do it justice. But that's fine.
Can you go back to the plan?
Yeah.
So the sort of exterior detailing is on for the lower 2 buildings
Mhm.
on the outside and
That's
then
correct.
garage doors on the back alleyway, right? Okay.
The flex spaces, like you see it from here to point. These are high end, so on top online retailers. Bring them in a box from China, put them in an Amazon box, they go out back. Each one will have a tenant improvement, but no retail. There's not enough retail space.
Go to the next to the 3D views.
The colored block, they have metal awnings. They have a metal cap. They have brick columns going up the sides. You can see there. I wish they had put those colored pictures I sent.
You got a
These are-
color, you got a
these are-
colored door.
These are brick. These are all storefront windows.
So is this the
Commercial.
south building then that we're seeing here? Because there's.
It's a mirror. This is building B and C. They're mirrored each other, but the other one's the same as this, building A. Colored block, split face, or not split face, smaller block there, brick, metal. All commercial brown tinted windows.
It's brown, not gray.
Yeah, they're not brown. They're like almost black. They call them dark bronze. They look black if you're halfway colorblind.
Ash Interstate brick, that's a gray brick, isn't it?
It's actually called coral black now. They discontinued that ash,
Oh, have they?
but it's a black. With black mortar, not, I mean, just a slight off black, but black for all intents and purposes. I have 4 of these in Linden. They're popular nowadays. They're good. They're not the steel tilt ups or the concrete tilt ups. These are a lot nicer. These are higher.
How many square feet do you have in Linden?
I have 3 in Vineyard, 4 in Linden. Each one ranges from 35 to 45,000 feet each, depending on how big the tenant improvements end up being.
How long have you been in this business? How long have you been doing these?
30 years. I used to own Columbia Millworks, did that for 20 years. I've been doing this for 30 years. 2 years ago, Sunpro bought it, and I just quit. Now this is all I do. These are my projects. I'm building them, financing them, and I own everything. They're mine, and I'll keep them at the end, except for one of these buildings, which I'm building for a friend of yours, actually. But
You definitely need this up at the airport.
yeah, and like I say, if you go back, well, it's actually been passed through the building department and the engineering. Go back to the site plan. Big open spaces, you can park a lot of semi trucks through there because they come in a semi truck and they leave in a FedEx box. No outside storage, no cabinets, no countertops. I don't want those people near my buildings. These are all online retailers. If you go to my other buildings, Phil Brown, what's his name, Reed at the vineyard, they like them. Bill's it with them, but
Is there any public comment?
Anything in your staff recommendation that you're concerned with in terms of it meeting?
No, it seemed to meet the design guidelines that were written into the airport zone. So nothing from staff.
And it's currently not zoned airport, right?
Correct. It's going to the planning commission next week.
I don't have any
I don't know if I do
major
either. Yeah.
thoughts other than the signage, which I'm assuming is kind of placeholder and not going to be block letters, like
No.
just adhered to the brick face like that.
if you go to my other buildings, they actually are all planned passed through the city. Don't you guys have a sign?
Yeah, we'll have a sign permit on each
There won't be,
individual sign.
that is just for showing you that there will be a sign.
Right, cool, yeah.
Whoever the tenant is, they always have to go get your permit. I'm pretty picky about it, know that block acrylic stuff.
Mhm.
That tacky.
I think the only comment I have, you've done a really nice job of varying the depths of the facade there on the north elevation. You change material, but I don't see any change in depth there. So that
No,
might be,
there is.
is there?
There's
Okay.
18 inches to 2 feet on each one of those. There are
Okay.
a lot of corners in that thing.
Yeah. I used to do estimating of foundations and, you count lineal footage and then you count corners.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, each line you see there, it's a corner.
yeah, just
Not so
doesn't,
much on the back.
as I say, it just doesn't read that way on the cornice. The cornice looks straight on that north side. And then, so,
The back, go to the kind of ugly one right there. Those two front each other, going the alleyway down the middle. That way you see from the one side and the other side, you never see that from the
Sure.
road.
sure. I was just talking about the lighter element in the south
Yeah.
elevation there, that lighter
There's
element
there's
doesn't.
a brick right there, there, just to. break that
What
up.
about on the south elevation though? Where the lighter,
There, that's split face, that's smooth, these are brick.
but is there any
Oh, yeah.
variation depth
Yeah.
there?
If you look it's 2 feet right there.
Okay. Just doesn't read very well in the 3D stuff, so.
I wish they had put those colored pictures.
If you want this for the planning commission meeting next week, send this to Aaron so he can get them into the
Yeah,
presentation.
just email them to me.
Yeah. I'll go.
It feels like we're good approving without any recommendation.
I got a question in the future, if I do more projects in Provo. So when I did this originally, I was given some bad information. So I have a plan, if I had, like the guy here before me, he's in the planning area, right? The plan. So this is already passed, completely ready to build. If you guys would have changed things, then I would have had to go back and done it. But why did they require me to get it passed through engineering before I could come to you guys?
So it's not passed. It has to go to planning commission. so-
Right. But if you look in those provisions, that's the only provision. But I requested with Sione, with you twice, with Sione twice. In the future, how would I have?
So it goes through the staff review first, which includes engineering, parks, fire.
So you have to get it passed through all. So
All
this
that.
guy before me had it all passed
He
through
did.
all the engineering.
Yeah.
And so if you encounter a change, you just suck it up and change it at that point, right?
Yeah, if there's changes through the planning commission process, then you'd go back and show those changes to the building permits. Yep. Sorry, that was kind of
That's fine.
tangential.
So we will motion, can I start the motion?
Yeah.
I motion that we approve this project without any changes or recommendations.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Motion to adjourn.
Anyone want a motion to?
So
adjourn?
moved.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
It's nice to meet you.
You too?
Yeah, welcome to
I'm glad
the
you guys are here.
design review committee.
Thanks.